So the next part we're going to have a look at is, so this really, if we were just going to make our model and be done with it, we could be finished. The whole thing we're going to look at for the next two parts is looking at how to just give it all again more context, make it look more realistic, and if you're going to do like a final render, how I had in a final submission of work, you can see how it would all work in situ. So one thing I had a look at, I thought, what else could we add into it? So I had a look and thought, okay, Lego, that's children's toy, so probably some sort of toy chest. Okay, so I quite like the idea of like some of these treasure chest style ones. So I'm going to go into here, and before I did my bodies first and then I created components. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a component from scratch. So I'm going to right click at the top and go on new component, and then I'm going to call that toy chest and hit enter. So what you'll see now on the left hand side, toy chest has appeared and there's a dot next to it, which means it's that active component. So that means what I'm doing is going to appear in here. Okay, so I'm going to go on sketch and I'm going to go on the side plane. Now at the minute I can't read it, or reach it rather, because my models are in the way. But if I hold down the left key of my mouse, I can go and I can click it that way. That will let you pierce through anything that you've got. Now I've realised, of course, I need to move this model up a little bit. That's clearly going to be going through the floor a little bit later. So I'm just going to make a little toy chest. So I'm just going to use the 2-point rectangle. Now I'm not going to be as precise with these. This is just to give it a bit of background detail. If this whole video or this whole project was about designing a toy chest, obviously I would then do more detail and exact measurements, but this is simply just to add some background to what we're doing. So then I'm going to go to circle. Now I don't want a center diameter circle. I'm going to go to circle and go 2-point circle, because that'll let us click on this point, go across and click to that point. Now there's excess lines there, so I want to trim those off. So if I go to modify and trim, or T, keyboard shortcut, so I'm going to hit T, that'll let me get rid of those. I'm going to hit finished. Just quickly, while I've noticed it, I am just going to move this block because it's going to irritate me otherwise. So I'm going to click on move. That just needs to come up, doesn't it? Like that. To make sure it's in the right place. Like that. Okay, that's better. Okay, so I've drawn my chest. So you can see now my sketches have appeared there. So I'm going to click E on my keyboard for extrude. I'm going to just pull it out and see how big really do I think this toy chest should be. Maybe a little bit bigger. Like that. And hit OK. So now you can see under toy chest, my body has appeared there. So at the minute, that's just a solid piece. We need to actually give it a little bit more detail. So first of all, let's make the actual lid and make it open. So I'm going to click on construct on the top menu. I'm going to go to offset plane, and I'm going to click on the bottom of this chest, and that'll do it. Give me a little arrow that I can drag up on this plane. Now I'm going to use this plane as a tool to cut something in half, not quite in half, but cut it into separate pieces. So then I'm going to go on OK. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to split body. So I'm going to modify and split body. Now keep an eye on the left hand side under body. So I've got body 1 there, but check what happens in a second. So body to split, this big body here, I want to split that in apart. Splitting tool, I want to use this offset plane. And when I zoom in, you'll see it's made this little red mark. That's basically saying, right, this body is going to be cut around that. I'm going to hit OK. And you'll see that 2 bodies have now appeared. Okay? Because it's now been cut. So I can get rid of that offset plane. So I can go on to construct here and hide it. I don't need that anymore. So let's move it around, make it a little bit more realistic. So let's click on the lid. So that's not the lid, that is the lid. So let's click on it and move. So I'm going to open it on a hinge, but I want the hinge on the other side. So I can change where the pivot point will be. So I'm going to go to the menu here, set pivot, click on set pivot, and it will let me choose where that pivot point will be. So I'm going to click on this point there, and then go back to done. So now I can move this little sliding scale and open it up like that. I'm going to hit OK. So again, it's still a solid piece, so it's not quite looking right. So let's shell it out like we do with our Lego block. So let's click and let's do maybe 2 mil. OK. Let's do the same again. Let's click on this, type in 2 and hit OK. So I do need to join those back together again. Now, like I said before, if we were going to make this whole model without making this toy chest, I'd have to be a lot more accurate. I'd make some hinges to it so it would actually work. But because it's not going to be at the focal point of our drawing, it's just meant to be in the background. So I'm just going to move this a second. The whole reason I'm moving it now is because I want to join it back together again, and they need to intersect a little bit. So you see there, they just intersect a tiny little bit. Go on OK. Like that. Now again, keep an eye on where it says I've still got body 1, body 2, but I'm going to combine them. So I'm going to modify and combine. Target body, this one. What do I want to combine it with? This one. Make sure it's on join and hit OK. And you see now I've just got one body again. So I'm going to move it so it's not really, really square. So let's just have a look. Let's rotate it around a little bit. Let's move it out of the way. Something like that. I think that looks nice. Okay, so let's add some materials to it. So again, we're going to go to A for appearance. So I think we're probably going to have a wooden toy chest of some kind. So let's have a look what we've got. So where are we for woods? Let's have a look at something like pine. That's nice and light. Very good. Okay. So I might want to add some decals. So if we had a look on here, obviously we've got some little details of animals and things like that. Now I have already downloaded some animal decals from the same website. I just typed in like animal, like cartoon animals. So let's insert those. So let's go to insert decal. And let's have a look. So I've got an animal there. So let's click. Now, if it comes out the wrong way around, you can just rotate it nice and easy. So I want that. Let's change that to 90. Let's make it a bit bigger. It's a little bit too bright, I feel. So let's just turn the opacity down a little bit. Okay. Let's do a little bit more so it looks a bit busier. Do side. Let's do exactly the same on the other side. Oh, I didn't turn the opacity down on that. So remember, if ever you do submit and you want to undo or change what you've done, down at the bottom on your history, you can always go and edit these features really, really easily. So just because you've done something doesn't mean it's stuck ever. You can always go back and edit later. It's nice and easy that way. So go to decal. Oh, no, that was the wrong face. I did not mean to select that face. Move it into position. Like that. Okay, so we've not spent a lot of time on that. That's just there, so it's part of the background. And you see what happened here. Now, I didn't turn chain faces off on one of these things. So let's go back. So I think it was this first one. So let's go on edit feature. Yeah, so if I turn that off, you'll see now back in that chest again, you can't see those pieces. That's why it's always a good idea to turn chain faces off. Otherwise, it tries to wrap around a bit. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to render. So we're going to jump back between render and normal workspace. So you can see a bit more context to it, but it's still sort of floating in the nothingness, isn't it? So let's have a look at giving it like a floor and walls. So that'd be nice and easy to do. So I'm going to go on, let's make a new component. So I'm going to right click at the top, new component. Let's call this scenery. So I'm going to click on create a sketch. Let's create on the bottom plane. And let's draw a big rectangle like that. Go on finish sketch. Go on extrude. We're going down because we don't want to interfere with what we've already done. I'm going to do the same on the side here, so I'm going to click on this side piece. No, I don't want that to join, so I'm going to extrude this in a second now. So I'm going to go on extrude. I'm going to go -3, or I'm going to go 3, sorry, not -3, because I wanted to make sure it's a new body, not joined, like that. And then let's do the same. Now I have made a little bit of a mistake there, but we'll sort that in a second. Let's go to create a sketch on that face, because actually then you won't see the mistake I've done. Let's just join from there to there and finish. Again, let's go extrude. So new body. So in fact, it doesn't matter that I've got that little bit of overlap there. So you can see now I've got basically like a scene you might see in like a TV show kind of thing. So you can see like 2 walls and a floor. So we can extend those out a little bit if we want to, but again, we still want to make it look a little bit more realistic, because at the minute they're just black. So we're going to add some more details to it. I didn't mean to do that there. So let's go back to the workspace. So for the flooring, so we'll go to appearance because I'm sure there are some fabrics in there. So let's go to leather and cloth, blue, so we can have a nice little carpet. Go done on there. Now I'm going to add a few more little details. So for example, I'm probably going to do a little skirting board just because I think it'll make it look a little bit more realistic. But you remember, you don't want to spend a huge amount of time on the scenery because it's not the focal point. It's just like an extra feature just to make it look more realistic. So I'm going to put this there. So then let's do extrude, and I'll come that out 5. Now you see at the minute it's trying to turn everything blue because it's joining. Once things join, if it's already got a material to it, it wants to make everything have that material. So I'm going to go to new body, and it'll not try and do that anymore. And then let's, at the minute that's just nice and flat, but we don't want that because skirting boards tend to have a little bit of a draft angle. So we go to modify, draft. Now where do I want to pivot it from? So from that surface, and I want to pivot this top bit. So let's bring it up and say 40 degrees. So what you can see, so you see it nice and easy from this angle here. So it's making it a little bit sloped, like a little mitre. So with the draft, the first thing it asks you to do is do the pull directions. That's basically what are you going to hinge it from. So I selected this face here. So that was done. Then what face do you want to do? So I picked the top piece, which meant that basically it used the hinge on the corner there. I'm going to hit OK. And then let's do the same on this wall here. Let's get a rectangle. Let's match it up. Like that. Go on finish. In fact, let me just move that a little bit actually. I'm just going to delete that. I made a bit of a mistake, so I'm just going to double click the whole thing to delete it and do that again. I want it to intersect because I'm going to join it in a second. So I'm going to start again. Get my rectangle. There we go. And I'm going to go on finish sketch. So now I'm going to extrude it, and we did the same, the one we did before. I extruded that, and we did that 5. So let's do the same again. So let's go 5. Say new body, and then same again. Let's go on draft. So watch again. So we're going to go to draft, pull direction. So where do you want to hinge it from? There. What piece do you actually want to pull? That one. Now it remembers the degrees we did from before, so it does 40. So I'm going to click OK. See how it joins nicely in the middle there. So I'm going to join those together. So I'm going to go to Combine. Combine that piece and that piece. And done. So do a bit of skirting boards. Let's add some appearance to that. And let's make that, let's paint that like a glossy white. So let's try that. Go and close. And then I think the last thing really would be to add some wallpaper to it. So I'm going to insert a decal. So I've already taken another decal. Now for this one, I didn't get a PNG because the reason we got a PNG for these ones is we didn't want a background to it. But all I searched for, and I'll put the files that I've used in the descriptions of the videos as well, so you've got that there. So I think it was this one. There you go. I literally, on Google, just typed in simple patterns for wallpaper, and it was a JPEG, and I'm just going to take it, I'm just going to drag it so it covers the whole area. Going OK. And let's do the same on this one. Let's go insert decal. This wall here. OK. So you can see I'm going to activate at the top at the minute. I've still got the scenery is the active component. I'm going to go to the very top and activate the whole thing. So you can see it all, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So you can see what's going on. And then if I'm going to jump back into render, zoom out a little bit. Like that. So you can see what we're going. So the main point of the whole exercise really was to show the Lego block. Now I'm going to change a little bit, that's intersecting a little bit. So let's just jump back and quickly move that. Let's go back to design, and that was that block, so let's just move that a smidge. Like that. Okay, so then let's jump back to render. I think I was zoomed in too much there, so let's try that again. Go to design, render. So we spent most of our time was spent with the Lego block, making sure it's nice and accurate. And that obviously, for what we're doing, is the main emphasis of the project. So say we were designing a product or a piece of furniture. But we spent a little bit of time then adding some decals, which you can see, so that make it look a little bit more realistic. But then we did a little bit of scenery to give the whole idea of the design some context. But you can't really see a huge amount of detail in it, because obviously you don't want it to take away from the attention of what you've actually done. But you can see, so you can see a little bit of the background in it. You can see the skirting board, see the toy chest. What I might do is copy and paste a few more of these blocks, have them scattered around a little bit more like that. So that to me then would be a finished first project. So we've done our modelling, we've added decals to it, we've made a scenery to it. So the last thing really would be to render it. Now I'm not going to render it on video live the whole time because it took quite a bit of time to do it, because like I said, I've got a relatively basic laptop. But we're in the render workspace now, so you can do in canvas render. So I'm going to click on in canvas render, and you'll see what will happen in a second. It'll start to go fuzzy, and it'll start to get clearer as it gets a really nice quality picture from what I've done. I won't carry on with that. I'm going to stop that there, but I will at the very end show a picture of what the final render looks like. But that was